So for today, we're still going to be learning about functions, right? So we're going to learn about decorators and better code organization, right? So by the end of this lesson, I expect you guys to know what a decorator is and explain why a decorator is useful, right? And also understand what a wrapper function does. Right. So usually when people hear the word decorator, they usually think that it sounds difficult, but it's not actually a difficult concept once you understand the fundamentals of it and where it's coming from. Right. So for this lesson, you guys are going to discover that decorators are actually built from ideas you already know, right? And also remember that a decorator is just another function. It's nothing complicated. A decorator is just what? Another function. Right. So most software developers use decorators almost everywhere. Almost every function has a decorator, especially when you are creating a backend system. You always come across decorators, right? So before I teach you guys about decorators, right, I want us to first understand a problem, right? So let me just say decorators. I'm going to create two functions. Function one is going to be create account, right? And then I'm going to print starting process, right? Another print function creating account, right? And then a third print function process finished, right? Then create another function delete account, right? I need to also have three print functions, right? Okay. Let me call the functions. There we go. Right. I'm now running the code. Right. So from the output in my terminal, which lines were repeated? From these 6 print functions, which lines were repeated? You all see the terminal. Yes, Mr. Allen. Yes, Alan.
I think starting starting process may process finish.
So a starting process and what?
Oh, my lines are
Starting process, only starting process.
finished.
Nope, in process finished. That's correct, right? So imagine, right?
Yeah.
Here we have what? Two functions that both print starting process and process finished, right? Imagine if we have 100 different functions that are also supposed to print starting process and print process finished. That means that we would need to copy these two print functions in every function. Right? So that is not good programming, because that means you now have to repeat yourself over and over. For every function that you create, you now have to also create these print functions. So that is not good programming, right? So whenever programmers copy the same code many times, it usually means there is a better way of doing it, which means that there's a better solution to that, instead of what repeating yourself many times. So decorators are one of these solutions, right? So I'm going to comment this out, right? I'm going to create another function called what, action logger. That's going to take a parameter called function, right? And it's going to print decorator created. So this function that you created, this name, it can be any name that you want. This is just another function, right? But the difference that this function, it receives what, another function inside it. So it's a function that receives a function, right? So functions in Python are objects, right? That means we can pass them around just like variables. So I can take this function, pass it into another function, and so on, right? Right. So let me create another function called what, grade, right? Print, let's say, welcome student. Action logger, great. Let me clear my terminal, right? Notice here that I have two functions, action logger, that takes a parameter, which is what, another function, right? And then here I have another function called what, grade, right? Right. So I have what, another function called what, grade, that just prints what, welcome student, right? Then here I call what, our first function, that is called what, action logger, and then I pass what, this function called grade as an argument, right? Notice that I wrote grade and not grade. I didn't add these what, round brackets. So the reason why I'm not adding these round brackets when I'm passing this function as an argument is because I'm passing the function itself, right? So if I'm passing the function itself, I'm not going to add these round brackets, right? You just write the name of the function without what, the brackets, right? Because if I now add the brackets, that means I immediately run what, the function, so that when line 22 executes, that means I'm also running this function grade. So that's why we're not adding what, these round brackets, because here we're just passing the function. We don't want it to run here on line 22. Right. So for now, I'm not going to run this code, okay? I'm just explaining the basic concepts. Right. So now let's create what we call a real decorator. Right. So we're still going to use action logger. That's taking a function inside. Right. So inside this function, we're also going to have another function called wrapper. Right. It's going to print starting action. Right. Then we call the function. Right. The function that one now calling here is the one that we pass as a parameter when we create the action logger. Right. Then we're going to add another print statement. Print action finished. Right. Then we're going to return our function, the wrapper function. Right. So here we have a wrapper. This is just another function. It's just a function inside a function. So it lives inside another function. Right. So its job is to wrap around the original function. Right. So here we have the print this print function, print starting action. This happens before the original function runs. Right. And then now on line 21 where we have this function, then that is where the original function runs. Right. When the original function is it finishes, then this print action finished is what is going to run. Right. So this happens after the original function finishes running. Right. Then here we have return wrapper. So this is the most important line of this function. Right. Without returning the wrapper, without returning our function, right, our decorator is not going to work. Right. So if we don't return if we don't return our function, our decorator is not going to work. Okay, right. So okay, let's say action logger def grid, right, print okay, let's say hello student. Right. Okay, before I move on over to this, do you all understand what's happening in this action logger function? Any questions on what's happening on this action logger function? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so no questions right now. Okay, right. So here on line 27 up to line 29, we have this at action logger. Then we create what a function called what grid. That function is only going to print what hello student. Right. So at action logger line 27, the most important thing here is this at sign, right? So this at symbol, it tells Python to pass this function through the decorator, right? It tells Python to pass this function, right, through the decorator, right? Right. So basically we can say this is what, this is the decorator function, right? So now let's call our function grid, right? If we run this function, what do you guys think is going to be printed? Who wants to take a guess and tell us what's going to be printed? Anyone to take a guess? Yes, Mr. Janga.
Yeah, sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't want to take a guess. I wanted to. I wanted to understand how line 16 to 25 works, and we did not. No one raised a question. I'm not sure if you said anything important after that.
I only want to know how this line 16 to 25 works.
Sorry.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to answer that when you run the code, right? So when you
Okay.
run the code, also maybe to give you a picture of what's actually what happening, right? So is there anyone who wants to take a guess on what's actually going to print out when you run this code? Right from line 16 to line 31. Okay. Let me run the code. Right. There you go. See, I ran the code. When we ran the code, this is what was executed. Line 27 to 31. Right. It printed what? Starting action, and then it came to hello student. Then it finished by what? Action finished. Right. Right. So, Mr. Chang, when you look at this code, do you have maybe a picture of what's actually happening here? Just by looking at it and also by looking at the terminal. Confirm that you guys can hear me. Like if we
Hello?
if you look at my terminal, right, I ran the code and it printed what starting action, hello student, and action finished, right? uh do you guys have maybe a smaller picture of what's actually happening with this action logger function in our create function? Yes, Mr. Achanga?
Yeah, since you had asked, do any of us have a smaller picture, not the actual picture? I think I can respond to that. What I've just noticed is that from the output window, is that we just it just printed it just printed line 19 and 23 from the function's action log. But between that, it also printed something from the.
Okay.
I don't know why it happened.
Okay, so here, right, we have what our action logger, our decorator function, right? That takes what another function as a parameter, right? Then inside this function, we also have what another function called wrapper, right? So inside this wrapper function, we have what printing starting action and print what action finished, and then in between these two print functions, we then call what the function that we passed what through the parameter, right? So the function that we pass through the parameter, we actually run it here inside our wrapper function. Then we have what return wrapper, right? So what happens here is that with this action logger, when it runs, right, it's going to run what this wrapper function. So it's going to print out what the starting action. After it prints the starting action, then it's going to execute this function, right? So this function, remember, is the function that we pass it over here, right? When it executes this function, when the function is done, right, then it's going to run what this action finished, right? And then this return wrapper is just what tells what action log is that it tells action log what it must do. Just return the response of this what wrapper function. Whatever happens inside the wrapper function, just return the response, right? So to call the wrapper function, right, we use the what to call the decorator function, which is going to be the top function, the parent function, right? We use what the add symbol followed by the what the function name. But notice that we don't use these round brackets. When you're calling a decorator function, we don't use what the round brackets, right? So the add sign, right, it tells Python to pass this function, the function that you create below it, through this decorator, right? So it tells Python that take this function and put it inside what this decorator, right? So here when we run this what create when we call our function create, instead of just running this create function, we're actually running what the action logger function, right? So when you run our code, Python is going to run what create. Instead of running create, it's going to run what action logger. So here in action logger, it's going to print what starting action, then it runs what our function, which is going to be what, the grade function, which is just the yellow student, right? When it's done printing that, is going to move on to what, print action finished. Then our function is done. Then we're done using our decorator function. Do you guys get it? Yes, Mr. Janga.
So the function online 16 that we inserted inside the round brackets can be it can be anyway. You can say, for example, with Brandon, and then online 21 we call Brandon. Is it?
Yeah, online not 16.
I mean, yeah, yes, we
Yes, you can
first
check.
created function online 16, like inside the round brackets, like
Oh, yes,
the
yes,
word
yes.
function actually.
Oh,
Not
yes. You can call it whatever you want. This is just a parameter.
yeah, that one in red. Yes.
Yes, it's just a parameter. You can use whatever name you want. If you want to call it Brandon, you can call it Brandon. It's still going to work the same way.
Okay, but the rapper. So how about the rapper? The rapper, you can call it anything.
Yes,
Hello.
yes,
Hello.
rapper, you can call it anything. Even this action logger, you can call it anything that you want.
Okay. 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 All right. Okay. Thank you.
You get it. You now get it.
Yeah, I do.
Right. So, any questions about the decorator function? Yes, Mr. Chama.
Okay. Now I understand that line 27 action log, it actually tells Python, like you commented there, it tells Python to pass this function through the
Yes,
decorator.
yes, that's correct.
Now to this. Hello. Yes. Hello.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
So I was saying, are you by any chance implying that the function that you are referring it on line 27 to say that Python tells this function tells it tells Python to pass this function through the decorator? Are you by any chance saying that any function that we are going to create below line 27 will be included between line 19 and line 23? For example, if I create another function,
No, 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 no. Yeah, if I
def
create
h
an
zone,
wait,
def h,
yeah,
okay,
like if I create another function like this, no, this one is not going to fall under this action logger. It
yes.
will only work with this function, the first function below action logger.
So I have to create another action log if I want to create another function.
Yes, then you now need to call it at action, action,
Okay,
action logger. Yes, like
yeah, it's
this.
okay, it's okay. That makes perfect sense. I
Make,
understand.
okay. So more blessing. You say that I should make another example. By the example, you mean that I should change the names. Is that what you mean? Okay, so let me just comment this out. Right, let me just rename this to starting process. In process finished. Okay, yeah, right. So let's create what another. Let's call this one action logger args quarks. Okay, right. And then for this function, we're just going to pass what a login function, right? So I'm going to create a function. So I'm going to call this function what decorator wrapper. It's going to take what args and quarks, right? It's also going to print starting action, and then to have a result equals to what login function, right? Okay, there we go. Login function args quarks, right? Then we're going to print action finished, return result. Then we're going to return what our wrapper, right? Or we call it decorator wrapper, right? And then we're going to call it our action logger args quarks wrapper. Create a function called login that will only take what username. Then we print username logged in. Then we call out our function login Brandon. Right. So remember from yesterday's lesson that args, right? It collects all positional arguments. It works by position from left to right by indexes. So for args, indexing matters, the position matters, right? And then we have quarks, right? It collects what all named arguments. It's like a dictionary. It's a key value pair, right? So here what our decorator, our wrapper, right, is using both args and quarks, right? So this means that our decorator can work with almost any function, whether our function is a named function or is a positional argument function. The order is going to work with what our decorator wrapper because it accepts what args and quarks, right? So I'm now running the code. Okay. Starting action, which is this print function, Brandon logged in, which is what this print function on line 48, and then action finished, which is the print function on line 40. So because we used arcs and quarks, that means our decorator is much more powerful, just more than this basic one. Like with arcs and quarks, it can work with almost any function, with almost any argument. Okay, so more blessing, was I able to answer your question? Okay, great. So any questions about decorators? Any questions? So no questions currently. Okay, so do you all understand how decorator functions work? Okay, great. So for today, I'd only prepared decorators for you guys to learn, to get deeper about functions, right? So if there are no questions, uh, this is the end of our lesson for today. Then we'll meet tomorrow at 8 p.m. sharp. Okay, yes, Mr. Achanga.
Okay, since you used or introduced the arcs and quarks on line 38, no, on line 35 actually, and then on line 46 you you are saying line 47 and line 48
Yes.
we called the login function. Yeah, maybe can you kindly, before we close, could you kindly just explain line 47 and 48?
Remember that we used arcs and quarks, right? So we used
Yes.
both. So because we used both, that means that our code can work with almost any type of function. That means almost any type of argument or parameter. That's that's just the difference from this action, from this decorator function and this decorator function.
Yes.
uh, we could have just what passed what a just a
Function,
variable.
yes.
Yes,
A
just
variable to
yes,
point to a function, yes.
exactly. But yeah, let's just say we don't know what to expect, or what the user is going to pass as an argument. So if you don't know what the user might pass, then you should use what arcs and quarks. That was the whole idea behind this. Do you get it?
Okay. Yeah. Maybe you can pretend you should you can put back arcs and quarks on line 35. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Kumar.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hello.
Yes, I'm
Which
here.
function are we calling it? I can see on line 47. I can see we are calling the login function, the function named login.
Yes.
Okay. We are creating. No. Okay, we created it. Okay. So my question was on line 48. Who could? Uh, no. Okay. Let me go through it and maybe ask another day.
Okay, no, that's fine, that's fine. Just go through
Yeah.
it and see how it works.
It's okay, but maybe all right. In other words, on line 47, we could have created a function, any kind of a function, any function that maybe either the quarks, either the arcs or quarks, any function that.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, it's okay. I'll go through it. If I fail to understand it, then I'll come back to you. Thank you.
Okay, okay, that's fine. Go through it, take your time, then you can cut back to me.
Okay, sure.
So, anyone with a question? Okay, if there are no questions, then that's it for today. I hope you guys get to revise decorators, arcs and quarks, because you're going to encounter this almost every day on a daily basis. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, yes, Mr. Achanga.
Sorry, Mr. Kumala, I'm very sorry about that. I heard you mention about code organization. Was it part of
Yes, yes,
the lecture or in the
yes.
group?
It's part of the lecture. These are decorators.
Okay. 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 It's also part of code organization.
Yes, that's correct. Learn how to
It's okay.
organize
Thank
your
you.
code, when to use decorators and when not to use them.
It's okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. So if there are no questions, I'll see you guys tomorrow 8 p.m. sharp.